Hey everybody, it's Dr. Jo and Pink Remy. I'm sporting my pink too. I know, it's exciting. And today I'm going to show you my top 5 plantar fasciitis treatments, a whole body treatment. So let's get started. Disclaimer alert, disclaimer alert. So you might ask, how do you treat plantar fasciitis as a whole body treatment? So plantar fasciitis can be caused by a whole lot of different things. And as clinicians, or if you're trying to do at-home treatment, oftentimes you get stuck on treating the plantar fasciitis itself. But sometimes plantar fasciitis is caused by something in your back, something in your hips, something in your knees. So you really have to find out what the cause is. So this is just going to show you a couple different ways further up the chain or up the body that if it's something else going on, because plantar fasciitis is the inflammation of the plantar fascia on the bottom of your foot, but that doesn't necessarily mean that's where the problem is coming from. So to start off, you would start down at the foot, so maybe stretching out your calf. So a lot of times with plantar fasciitis, what happens is your arch drops and your foot comes into pronation. So it drops down like that, and then that fascia gets overstretched. So you really want to kind of work on things like that. Now, if it's a tight calf or Achilles muscle causing the plantar fasciitis, a typical runner stretch, when you get into this position, the back heel, the foot in the back is the one you're wanting to stretch. The heel always stays down. That back leg stays straight. The front knee you bend forward, and then you lean in until you get a stretch on the calf. Now to take it one step further, talking about that collapse of the foot, to stretch and help strengthen that arch, that bottom of the foot, if you're in this position, and sometimes it's better to do it against a wall because then you can get a little bit more support, you're going to take the front foot and just swing back and forth. So you might not be able to see quite as much at my foot, but you can see that it's working the bottom part of my foot because it has to stabilize. So you can just swing it back and forth while you're stretching, or you can kind of rotate that leg around. And that just gives it that extra work, that extra push, that it's not just maybe the tight calf, but it's something going on in the foot as well. So that's just one way you can add on to the traditional runner stretch. So let's say you're doing this stretch and your calf isn't tight, you don't feel a stretch at all. It doesn't, you're not like, ooh, I feel that good stretch, that hurts so good. Then it's probably not coming from your calf. It's probably coming from further up the chain. So that's what I'm talking about. When things aren't tight or they're not, super weak, then they're not really the cause of the problem. So sometimes if you have your foot collapse in like that, it's because of a weak gluteus medius on the opposite side. So when I'm standing, if my glute med isn't working like it should and I have to lean over like this, as I lean over, my foot on the opposite side will collapse in. So it's just because it's changing that body position, and that foot has to compensate and drop in, and then it's getting extra pressure on that plantar fascia and it's causing pain. So an easy way to stretch or to exercise to strengthen the glute med is to do something like a hip hike. So with hip hikes, you can do them off the edge of a step, but you don't have to do them off the edge of a step. You can just do them standing. So if I was against something and I want to strengthen my glute med on this side, I'm going to stand on this side, keeping the legs straight and trying not to bend the knees. You're not bringing this knee or leg up, but you're hiking it up. So I'm working this side to bring that leg up. So just hiking it up. So that's what it's called. It's called a hip hike. So if you're on a step, which I'll show you later, you can do that, and so you get a higher hike. But just starting off, if it's weak, you're gonna get a workout doing this. Now it's working both sides. This is the closed chain one, so you're gonna work a little bit more, but I'm getting work on this side as well, lifting it up. So I would say, even if you're just really working on one side, switch and do both sides, because you really want to get both of those strengthened, because the pelvis is connected. So if one side's weak, the other side's probably compensating. So you really want to work on that too. So this is the hip hike on the step. This isn't a new exercise. This is just the exercise of that hip hike that I did earlier that I said I was going to show you the progression for on the step. So the side you're standing on is the one that's going to get the biggest workout. Now if you're on a step, make sure you have something to hold on to. If you're on your stairs at home, make sure you're holding on to the railing while you're doing it, because this is tougher than it looks. So this side is getting the main work, this side is getting work some. But now I'm hiking it up, trying to keep that leg fairly straight. I bent that knee a little bit, and then dropping it down. So see, I'm dropping it past the step, so I'm getting a fuller motion with this one versus if I was just standing on the floor. So you can see there is some balance component to it. So you don't really want to have to focus on your balance. So if you're holding on to something, you can really focus on that strengthening as well. But again, I would do both sides because it's working one in a closed chain when you're standing and an open chain when you're actually moving it. Another great exercise for the glute med is clamshell exercises. So clamshells are a little bit harder than they look, and if you don't do them correctly, they're pretty easy, so you have to make sure you're doing them correctly. So you're going to lie on your side. The side that you want to exercise is going to be up on top. Bend your knees up anywhere. Some people like to do it 90 degrees. I like to do it a little bit less just so you're not impinging your hips, but then bring your feet together kind of in alignment with your hips. All you're going to do is make sure that your hips stay straight up and down or perpendicular to the floor and that they never roll. If you roll back while you're going into the exercise, you're not going to work that glute med. So this stays still, your feet stay together, and then you're just going to bring your knee, that top knee, up off of the other one. So that's going into a clamshell. And again, sometimes the first 3 or 4 don't seem very hard, but again, if you're doing it correctly, you're going to start feeling it and you're really going to feel it working in there. So, you can just start off with maybe 10 to 15, do a couple sets a couple times a day, really to work that glute med. But remember, it's the opposite side of the plantar fasciitis, but I would recommend doing both because the pelvis is so much connected together that if one side's messed up, the other side's probably messed up as well. So the next thing that could possibly be an issue is if your back is rotated. If you rotate your back, then what happens is, again, you start getting pressure on that foot where it collapses forward as you rotate. So another big thing is to get some thoracic, that mid to upper back, stretching it out to make sure that you have good posture. If you're over one way or if you're over this way, if you're twisted, that foot is going to collapse in and overstretch that plantar fascia. So really kind of stretching all that out is a really great way to help get that better posture, so then you're in a more correct alignment, and that helps with that plantar fasciitis. So you can just use a foam roll or something to stretch out the thoracic area into extension. You can use a larger one like this if you happen to have one, but even anything just like a pool noodle, just to have that little bit of stretch over the back. So one that I really like, it's easy to do. You can, even if you don't happen to have a foam roller, if you have a really big beach towel, fold it a couple times and tightly roll it up to look like this, and that will probably be enough to get you a stretch, because if it's coming from your back, you probably don't need something huge to stretch out your back. So what you're gonna do is just kind of put it on maybe the mid to upper back near that thoracic area. And then all you're gonna do, you can put your hands here. If you wanna cross them over to kind of get the shoulder blades or the scapula out of the way, you can. And then you're just gonna kind of lean back into it. And so that's just really stretching out that spine in that thoracic area. So as long as you're comfortable, as long as you're not straining out your neck, make sure you're kind of protecting that neck as well, and that you're not straining yourself, that you can hold it for about 30 seconds and do that 3 times. So 3 times for 30 seconds. The last one is one that I really, really like, but I actually don't show you all very often. I might not have ever shown you this one. It's just one I always forget about, but it's a really great stretch, and I was doing it with one of my patients the other day, and he was like, wow, this is a really great stretch. And it's really just, it's called open the book. And so the reason why it's called opening the book is if you've ever put a book on its side and you open it up and all the pages kind of fly open, that's almost what it looks like that you're doing. So it helps, it's a great stretch for your lower and your upper back. So you're just gonna lie on your side, kind of bring your knees up again, almost into that 90 degrees, but I like to do just a little bit lower so I'm not impinging my hip. You're gonna put your arms out in front of you, just one hand on top of the other. And then all you're gonna do is the top hand, while everything down below stays in one spot, you're gonna open it up. So I'm opening up that book, and see how my chest opens up into a stretch? So this is a great pec stretch, especially if you have bad posture. I'm getting a stretch through here. I'm even feeling it at my hips. And so you don't necessarily have to hold it for 30 seconds. You can kind of do just a 2 to 3 second pause, come back down, and then open back up. And I actually, you might not have heard it, but I actually did just get a little small pop or adjustment in my low back doing that. And so, you know, it needed it, and just with that little bit of a stretch, it did it. So again, this is called just opening the book. You can do a little pause if you want to, 2-3 seconds, or if you want to do it continuously, maybe do 10 at a time, 2 to 3 sets, a couple times a day. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 plantar fasciitis treatments, whole body wise. If you'd like to help support my channel, find out how up here, and don't forget to subscribe by clicking down there. And remember, what? Yeah, be safe, have fun, and I hope you